The author writing the book of John takes their main character and applies their main character to what's going on in the book of Isaiah, or they take what's going on in the book of Isaiah and they place it onto their main character. Now, there is no logical pathway to do so. There's no logical way of connecting anything in Isaiah to what's going on with their main character. There's no logical way that one can do this except by force. But if we want to understand their mindset, and this is what we're going to do at this point in time, we're going to understand the mindset of the author writing the book of John, where they get their point of view from, and why they get their point of view from, where they get their point of view from. And we're going to see that what they're doing is not coming from within the scriptures. It's actually coming from outside of the scriptures. It's coming from Hellenistic Judaism and apocalyptic literature, specifically written by or written from or written in the disposition or the persuasion of Hellenistic Judaism. We're going to see how these authors, or this author, is placing, well, the book of John is written by many authors, so how they get their main character to be what they want them to be without logically having a pathway from Genesis to Malachi to do so. The author writing the book of John believes that their main character is not simply the arm of Israel's deity. They believe that their main character, their Jesus character, is also the figure that Isaiah saw in vision in Isaiah chapter 6. They believe this. Now, who is the arm of Israel's deity, and who is the main character in vision in Isaiah 6? I've reviewed this plenty of times. I'm not going to actually go into an in-depth review again, but here's just a bit of an outline. This is the second of two gods within the mythology from Genesis to Malachi. This is the Lord, all capital G-O-D. They are the high priest, or as is understood, son, because son in Bible, Genesis to Malachi terms, is not biological. This is the son of the heavenly sanctuary. This is the high priest of the heavenly sanctuary. This is the destroyer of Israel. This is why they're called the arm of the all capital L-O-R-D God. They are the savior of Israel. This is why they are the arm of the all capital L-O-R-D, and they are the establisher of Israel. In these episodes, prior to this one, we've seen all of these roles fulfilled by this character that Isaiah saw in vision in Isaiah chapter 6. What the author of the book of John is doing is that they're saying that this character here is their main character, and it's not necessarily their main character. This is their main character before he took bodily form. Now, if you go to Psalms 2:12, kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. We know that this figure, this Son, is the same figure from Psalm 110:5. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath, because the same prescription, the same remedy for healing and for bringing back cognizance of the all capital L-O-R-D is given to the same figure. This is the same Lord, all capital G-O-D, who is also the son of the all capital L-O-R-D. Again, this isn't biological. Bible does not deal with biological. Bible deals with sonship, relation via sonship. Sonship is not literal. Sonship has everything to do with priesthood. The author of the book of John believes that their main character is this. They believe that their Jesus character, before becoming embodied or before fulfilling their role within a body of a rabbi, they believe that their main character and their main character through and through is ultimately what is called the Word, which is ultimately called the Logos existing within the rabbi. They believe that before this Logos, this word, was within this rabbi, the author writing the book of John believes that they were this figure that the author writing Isaiah 6 sees in vision, and then writing Isaiah 53 sees in vision. as not only that arm, but also that sufferer throughout. What they are doing is they are taking proof, not from Genesis to Malachi, because there's nothing in Genesis to Malachi to prove or to mark or to exaggerate anything that they're saying in a positive manner. There is no logical proof for anything that they are saying or doing or posing or placing or manipulating. There's nothing within Genesis to Malachi that gives you those answers and that vision. But what they're doing is they're going outside of Genesis to Malachi. And this is something else that I want to pay attention to in this episode of Justification, because when we hear about the Christian religion being Judeo-Christian or coming from a Judeo background, that Judeo, that's not coming from Genesis to Malachi. Those are Hebrew scriptures. The Judeo part is something that we really don't fathom in 2025. That Judeo is not Hebrew. That Judeo is not Hebrew philosophical. That Judeo is Hellenistic Judaism. The Hellenistic Judaism aspect of what these Hebrew scriptures meant to that particular age gave birth to what we now call the Christian theory or Christian theology. The author writing the book of John is taking their illustration of their main character and of that word and logos. They're taking it from the Book of Enoch. Now, the Book of Enoch is literature, Hellenistic Judaism literature. Again, the Book of Enoch is Hellenistic Judaism literature through and through. You can look at the typologies within it, the context, the parallelisms, the nature of what's going on there, and then align that with the age in which it is produced. This is Hellenistic literature. It's Hellenistic literature written by individuals from a Judaistic point of view. The identity of their main character, the author writing the book of John, their main character is coming from the main character in the book of John entitled the Son of Man. Who is this? Well, this is the chosen one. He's chosen by Israel's deity, or I should say, their God, to execute judgment and bring salvation. He is the righteous one. He embodies righteousness and is associated with divine justice. The light. He is the light. The Son of Man is described as a light to the nations. He is a source of hope for the righteous, emphasizing his role as a savior and a beacon of divine wisdom. This is the actual character that John plays off of, that the author writing the book of John plays off of. They believe that their main character within their main character is this figure from the book of Enoch, this Son of Man. We are going to see how this Son of Man fulfills their ideal of what their main character is and should be perceived of. And we are also going to see how this Son of Man does not match up to the Son of Man in the book of Daniel, and how this Son of Man in the book of Enoch does not match up to what is going on in the book of Isaiah, especially chapter 53 and chapter 6. This is fun. This is very fun. Enoch's Son of Man, the book of Enoch's Son of Man. Who are they? Now, do you remember in the book of John 1, John 1:14, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Now, this saying, full of grace and truth, is not unique to the author writing this. This is language coming from the book of Enoch. 1 Enoch 46. And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool, and with him there was another whose face had the appearance of a man, and his face was full of grace, like one of the holy angels. The link in language here allows us to understand where the author writing the book of John, where they're pulling their information from. The one that is full of grace. The one that is full of grace, known as the Word, ultimately the Logos, in Hellenistic Judaism, where they're pulling their framework from, the one that is full of grace is ultimately the Son of Man beside the Lord of Spirits in the Book of Enoch, or who is the head of days in the Book of Enoch, or who is also the Ancient of Days in the Book of Enoch. This language it's not unique. So we wouldn't know that, right? We wouldn't know that. They would. Their audience would. We don't. But that's okay. So who is Enoch's son of man? Going back into the Book of Enoch. Enoch 1:46, 4-6, and this son of man who you have seen will rouse the kings and the powerful from their resting places and the strong from their thrones, and will loose the reins of the strong and will break the teeth of the sinners. He will cast down the kings their thrones and from kingdoms, for they do not exalt him and do not praise him and do not humbly acknowledge from where their kingdom was given to them. He will cast down the faces of the strong, and shame will fill them. Darkness will be their dwelling. The worms will be their resting place. They will have no hope of rising from their resting places, for they do not exalt the name of the Lord of Spirits. Now, this individual is a cosmic judge. They are the executor of cosmic judgment. 1 Enoch 45, 3-6. On that day, the chosen one will sit on the throne of glory and will choose their works, and their resting places will be without number, and their spirits within them will grow strong when they see my chosen one and those who appeal to my holy and glorious name. And on that day, I will cause my chosen one to dwell among them. I will transform heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. I will transform the dry ground and make it a blessing, and I will cause my chosen ones to dwell upon it. But those who commit sin and evil will not tread upon it. I've satisfied with my peace. I have seen and have satisfied with peace my righteous ones, and have placed them in front of me. But for the sinners, my judgment draws near, so that I may destroy them from the face of the earth. The Son of Man dismantles the oppressive powers of kings and of the mighty, removing them from their throne, because his authority surpasses earthly domains. This figure, this Son of Man, is the executor of what the righteous are and of the unrighteous. This is in a secular sense. But we have to remember that if we're going to connect this back to Bible, and if we're going to be able to see how the author writing the book of John connects this main character back to their main character, we have to understand that in Bible language, holy ones are always in reference to priesthood. Genesis to Malachi, the ones that are judged or to be judged as being holy or not, unholy or not, clean or unclean. These are not individuals walking in the street. These are not citizens of the natural world. This is always held within priesthood. Ezra 9, 1 and 2. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, Ammonites, Moabites, the Egyptians, and Amorites. Verse 2, they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed, is what I wanted to point out there, have mingled themselves with the people of the land. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers hath been chief in this trespass. So I want to point this out here because we're seeing that the Son of Man, Enoch, Son of Man, fulfills the same role as the Lord, all capital G-O-D. But I want to highlight the dimensions. They fulfill the same role. The role of the holy seed in making sure the holy seed is well, while the unholy seed is not. Context matters, because to the Bible's mind, the holy seed is always the priesthood. And the executor of judgment, the Lord, all capital G-O-D, is always going to execute judgment onto the priesthood. Always the priesthood. Coming for the priesthood. Killing the priesthood. Resurrecting the priesthood. This is their role. From Genesis to Malachi. Well, when you go into the book of Enoch, although they're playing off of this same character, the author writing the book of Enoch takes what's going on here and they place it onto the natural world. All of a sudden, sinners are everyone. The righteous can be everyone. Everyone has to deal and worship with this figure, this Son of Man in the book of Enoch. So while they're fulfilling the same role, their dimensions are different and their contexts are different. This is a play on culture. Hellenistic culture looks at sin and what is not sin from a more physical perspective. sin and what is not sin from Genesis to Malachi, the culture that is within these Hebrew scriptures, it is not dealt with in a natural sense. It is dealt with on a more philosophical, mental, and religious sense. What is clean and unclean, whether it is the individual or the philosophy, it is coming from a religious standpoint, a theological standpoint. That's Genesis to Malachi. And thus, the ones that have control over this are the priests, the ministers, the prophets, the such and such you want to put to that. Those are the ones that are counted as unjust and just sinners, and the righteous coming from that bunch. Well, in the other case, things change because the world has changed. Scripture stays the same. The world has changed. Hellenistic Judaism has arrived. And they're looking at things from a Hellenistic perspective or a Greek perspective, which is the general landscape. So we need to know these differences in context, in nature, in philosophy, and in the right and the rewrite of what's going on here to be able to make a distinguish, because what the author of the book of John is doing, they are lumping all and placing all in one. Isaiah 6 character that Isaiah saw in vision is one with the one in Enoch, and the one in Enoch is one with the one that they term to be their main character. This is very false to do. This is very wrong to do, because occupations between the Son of Man, Enoch, Son of Man, and the Lord, all capital G-O-D from Genesis to Malachi, different offices, different occupations, different administrations.
Let the Bible be your sanctuary of peace, reflection, and wisdom. Let each verse light your path, like a lantern guiding travelers through night's darkest hours. Embrace words of wisdom as leaves to a tree, each one vital for your growth and nourishment. In moments of uncertainty, let its counsel be the anchor, steadying your ship amidst life's stormy seas. Seek counsel not just in joy, but in trials, for in its guidance you'll find a friend. Let every parable, every psalm, resonate within you, creating a heart and soul that is newly attuned to think and feel. Thus, journey with the Bible as your guide and counselor, and let its wisdom light your path to an enduring peace.
Now, what's so grand about the main character of the book of John is that their author believes that within their main character is the logos, is the word logos, same character. This character is associated to creation. Now, what else does Enoch, Son of Man, do or have in relation to this? Going into the book of 1 Enoch 48, 2-6, and at that hour the Son of Man was named in the presence of the Lord of Spirits, even before the sun and the constellations were created, before the stars of heaven were made. His name was named in front of the Lord of Spirits. He will be a staff to the righteous and the holy, so that they may lean on him and not fall. He will be the light of the nations, and he will be the hope of those who grieve in their hearts. All those who dwell upon the dry ground will fall down and worship in front of him. They will bless and praise and celebrate with psalms the name of the Lord of Spirits. And because of this, he was chosen and hidden in front of him before the world was created and forever. So what we have in the book of Enoch is a designation of pre-existence given to the Son of Man character, the essence of pre-existence. He was chosen and concealed by the main deity within the book of Enoch before everything was. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that this is a creator figure. To think so would be an assumption that's not from within the document itself given to the reader. So we would assume that the literature, Book of Enoch, the author is letting us know that this individual Son of Man existed with their main deity before everything was. Before everything existed, they were there. They were called in above all of the others that were present, because there were others, sons and daughters that were present. But above them all, this one was there present from time immemorial, from time before time existed. This is something that when you get to the word and to the logos, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. The assumption there is an assumption not necessarily held within the book of Enoch, but held within Greek philosophy. So the author writing the book of John, they're pulling, pruning, and purging enough from within Greek thought and then Hellenistic Judaism and Hellenistic Judaism's apocalyptic literature, as we're here reading in the book of Enoch, to shape their character into what they want them to be, or what they believe their main character is. And yet what else is associated to this main character, this Enoch, son of man? Back in the book of Enoch, Enoch 1:46, 1-4, there I beheld the Ancient of Days, whose head was like white wool, and with him another, whose countenance resembled that of man. His countenance was full of grace, like that of the holy angels. Then I inquired of one of the angels who went with me, and who showed me every secret thing concerning this Son of Man, who he was, whence he was, and why he accompanied the Ancient of Days. He said to me, "This is the Son of Man, to whom righteousness belongs, with whom righteousness is dwelt, and who will reveal all the treasures of that which is concealed. For the Lord of spirits has chosen him, and his portion has surpassed all before, the Lord of spirits, in everlasting uprightness. This Son of Man whom thou beholdest shall raise up kings and the mighty from their couches, and the powerful from their thrones, shall loose the bridles of the powerful, and break in pieces the teeth of sinners. He shall hurl kings from their thrones and their domains, because they will not exalt and praise him, nor humble themselves before him, by whom their kingdoms were granted to them. The countenance likewise of the mighty shall he cast down, filling them with confusion. Darkness shall be their habitation, and worms shall be their bed, nor from that their bed shall they hope to be again raised, because they exalted not the name of the Lord of spirits." Enoch, son of man, is as we see, a revealer of wisdom and a revealer of understanding to specific minds. The author is letting us know that this main character is associated with cosmic, or quote-unquote divine wisdom and understanding. Now, this is a role also associated to the Lord, all capital G-O-D. Going into the book of Isaiah 48:16, "Come ye near unto me, hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning, from the time that it was, there am I, and now the Lord, all capital G-O-D there, and his spirit hath sent me." Isaiah 61:1, "The spirit of the Lord, all capital G-O-D, is upon me, because the all capital L-O-R-D hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound." So like the Lord, all capital G-O-D, Enoch's son of man has the ability to cosmically inspire specific minds. So again, the author writing the book of Enoch, they know what they're doing when they are articulating this Son of Man in character. They understand the mythology for which they are trying to expand upon. The mythology from which they're trying to expand upon is a mythology where there are two main deities, the all capital L-O-R-D God and the Lord, all capital G-O-D. They understand this. We don't. That's okay. We can. They're pulling from these two, and they are applying Hellenistic framework to them. They're applying Hellenistic framework to this, to what's going on from Genesis to Malachi, into these two main deities within the mythology from Genesis to Malachi, and they're expounding upon it. So it is no surprise that this individual, this Enoch, son of man, has the same sort of commission, has the same sort of ability as the Lord, all capital G-O-D. Again, context matters, because the Lord, all capital G-O-D, inspires individuals from within the brethren. Again, from within the brethren. There is no one outside of the brethren and the understanding committed to the brethren that the Lord, all capital G-O-D, will inspire. They're not framed to do that. But when you get to the book of Enoch, they're taking and pulling from the same character. The only difference is that they're taking from this same character and they are applying Hellenistic framework to it. So no longer is it just about the priesthood. It is now and should be about everyone, because from a Greek perspective, Greek philosophy, Greek ideology is self-centered. We live in a Greek world. We still live in a Greek world. Individualism rules this North American continent of which I am on through and through, whether it is in a personal life or whether it is in the public life. The concept of individualism rules it. That is a Greek philosophical concept. And so when you go into Hellenistic literature, you see the concept of the Greek there. And so now it's not about just the collective, it's now about the individual, to where individuals are now seen as sinful. All individuals individually held to themselves the same standards of what is formerly held to, or what was formerly held to, the priesthood. So same dimension, same thought process. Same thought process. The dimension of inspiring cosmically specific minds and such, but the way that it occurs, the way that it happens, and the administration associated, well, things change depending on the age. So when we see the Lord, all capital G-O-D, and then we see Enoch, son of man, we can know that both characters do play a role in the plan of their deity's salvation. Without them, can't happen. These two equally, they control governments. These two cosmically, they cosmically control governments. These two, they cosmically control rulers. These two, they cosmically have joy, and it is cosmically known that there is joy within certain chosen minds. These two are supposed to be the joy of congregations. These two equally are also the right hand and the arm of the deities for which they stand before. And it is also fair to conclude that these two are over resurrection of priesthood and of religion. Their domains for doing so are different, because the Son of Man is over the resurrection now of the natural world, because this is a Hellenistic perspective, while Genesis to Malachi's Lord, all capital G-O-D, is over the resurrection of priesthood. Resurrection of priesthood. Yet and still there is a major difference between them. Going into the Book of Enoch, First Enoch 51, 1-3, and in those days the earth will return that which has been entrusted to it. Sheol will return that which has been entrusted to it, and that which it has received, and destruction will return what it owes. And he will choose the righteous and the holy from among them, for the day has come near when they must be saved. And in those days the chosen one will sit on his throne, and all the secrets of wisdom will flow out from the counsel of his mouth. For the Lord of spirits has appointed him and glorified him. Enoch, son of man, well, this is the difference here, will dwell with the righteous and bring peace to a seemingly new earth. The Son of Man here is depicted as dwelling with the righteous, symbolizing a close relationship between what is quote-unquote divine and the quote-unquote faithful of such, and especially in some sort of strange new extraterrestrial realm. Now, this is not something that the Lord, all capital G-O-D, does. This is not something that the Lord, all capital G-O-D, from Genesis to Malachi, and especially within the book of Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel, their role is not mediated in this way. They can care less about dwelling with the righteous. That's not what they're there for. They're not there to collect anyone who's good. They're not there to cast judgment against anyone that's bad. They're not there to anything you want to think about that. They're only there. The main reason that this individual is set in place, they are the high priest of the heavenly sanctuary in the mythology from Genesis to Malachi. They have to make sure that what's going on in the sanctuary below matches what's going on above. If it's not, needs to be taken care of. If it is, give praise upwards. Their station of the Lord, all capital G-O-D, is permanently extraterrestrial. There's no such thing as this character coming down or this character collecting individuals upward. That's not their role. That's not even in their philosophy. And that's not their position that's given to them by the all capital L-O-R-D God. His only role, his only office is to work through a chosen mind risen up from the brethren. That's one. Two, to cosmically enact world-ruling empires and their military to destroy priesthoods that are not giving the two in the heavenly sanctuary, him and the all capital L-O-R-D God, reverence. When that's not happening, these two roles that they have and possess, they have to be fulfilled. They can care less about being next to human beings or having human beings with them or having some extraterrestrial essence framed within the human being from a Greek philosophical perspective in their region. That's not from Genesis to Malachi. We won't find that. And so when we hold these two characters together, we can see where they diverge. Going to 1 Enoch 69, 26 to 29, and they had great joy and they blessed, praised, and exalted because the name of that Son of Man had been revealed to them, and he sat on the throne of his glory, and the whole judgment was given to the Son of Man, and he will cause the sinners to pass away and be destroyed from the face of the earth, and those who led astray the world will be bound in chains and will be shut up in the assembly place of their destruction, and all their works will pass away from the face of the earth, and from then on there will be nothing corruptible, for that Son of Man has appeared and has sat on the throne of his glory, and everything evil will pass away and go from in front of him, and the word of that Son of Man will be strong in front of the Lord of spirits. So this is the ideal messianic figure. The ideal messianic figure. A figure of great joy and reverence whose name is to be revealed to the righteous only, blessed, praised, and exalted by all who will recognize him. He sits upon his throne of glory, and this is where we get those illustrations from. When you see the Son of Man, you will see him sitting upon his throne of glory, or you will see him in his glory. When you go to the Revelation in chapter 20 and 21, when you see that figure sitting on that throne executing judgment to sinners, everything there comes from here. They're taking this main character from the Book of Enoch, and they are applying it upon the mythology connected to the theoretical framework of the Jesus character. They're only building upon it as ages go on. That's all that is. Everything begins here in the Book of Enoch. When the Lord, all capital G-O-D, does this, because they do the very same work. They do the very same work that Enoch, Son of Man, does. But when they do this very same work, it's only held to the priesthood. It's only held to the priesthood. The priesthood is killed. The priesthood is resurrected. They are in charge of and over what is going on below them, because below them is supposed to be registering with what is going on above, and they operate what is going on above. This framework of them operating what is going on above does not translate into the narrative within the Book of Enoch. That Son of Man character is completely different from the Lord, all capital G-O-D, or the Son of the heavenly sanctuary from Genesis to Malachi, and especially from within the book of Isaiah. Both figures, one can fairly say, are the ideal messianic figure for the landscape. But the reality is that the first Enoch, Son of Man, they are the messianic figure. That's their messianic figure. Their messianic figure is not a dying and rising demigod, is not anything you want to think about that is associated to the Jesus character that we, in a Catholic sense or in an esoteric sense in 2025 today, think. That's not what's going on in Hellenistic Judaism's approach within the Book of Enoch. This is their main messianic character who operates in bodily form from an extraterrestrial location and will manifest from that extraterrestrial location into the earth's realm to do what must be done. Author writing the Book of John takes what's going on there and this main character and places it into their main character. So extending the narrative into something completely relatable, or that is supposed to be relatable, to Hellenistic Judaism's audience and the offshoot that is supposed to come up out of them.
Step beyond traditional religious teachings and uncover a revolutionary perspective on Jesus' mission. Dawn of Devotion dismantles the belief that his death holds supernatural benefits for humanity, and instead reveals a deeper philosophical purpose, one that challenges religious law and inspires sincere devotional growth. This book exposes the flaws in institutionalized religion, showing how Jesus' sacrifice was a bold statement against division and control by religion. Rather than reinforcing religious traditions, His message encouraged discipline and experience, calling for a personal devotion rooted in discovery, not obligation. If you're ready to rethink Jesus' role in history and explore the true meaning of devotion, Dawn of Devotion is your guide. Embrace freedom from religious tradition and rediscover your belief. Get your copy today and step into the dawn of a new understanding.
But there's a twist to all of this. There's a twist to all of this. So when we're reading the Book of Enoch, they actually let us know who their main character, or I should say, who this Son of Man character, this main Son of Man character is. Book of Enoch. First Enoch 71:13 and 14. And that head of days came with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and thousands and 10,000s of angels without number. And that angel came to me and greeted me with his voice and said to me, "You are the Son of Man who was born to righteousness, and righteousness remains over you, and the righteousness of the head of days will not leave you." Enoch, throughout this vision of the Son of Man, is actually the Son of Man. That's the twist. So when you're reading about a Son of Man from an extraterrestrial location, feeding off of the energy of the Ancient of Days, gathering together the righteous and placing into remembrance the Ancient of Days through his words, and his words will be as from in front of the Lord of Spirits or the Ancient of Days, with power, and power to gather, power to condemn, and to judge. The reality is that this Son of Man character represents Enoch. Or in other words, this Son of Man character represents anyone who is willing to take the words from Genesis to Malachi, or from the scriptures, and then to place them into a certain structure to embolden minds to remember the mind within, the deity within, if there should be one placed. This Son of Man character is not actually a mythological character. That's the twist. That's the fundamental, from Genesis to Malachi, philosophical twist, because even though we're reading something that appears to be completely in Greek context, as their fiction is supposed to be seen as literal, not literal. It's philosophical and it's figurative. That Son of Man is an Enoch character. That Son of Man is anyone that fulfills that Enoch character. And since Enoch walked with their God, that is an individual representing everyone who should do the same thing. So while we're reading this as a sort of mythology and such, and it's Hellenistic literature with a Judaism fashion to it, we have to remember that the author themselves give us the answer and the code for how to understand what we're reading. It's not literal. They're actually articulating an individual, can be anyone, that has a mind that is willing to sift through the things in scripture, to speak them out for the purpose of bringing remembrance back to the mind within them. And doubtless the Enoch's Son of Man character is an exaggeration of the Son of Man in the book of Daniel, for where we first get this image. So the author writing the book of Enoch has taken what's in Daniel 7 and exaggerated it tremendously. Daniel 7:17 and 18, these great beasts. Daniel 7:13 and 14. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, in his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Now, if we did not have the answer to the question of what this Son of Man represents, we can do whatever we want to do with it. We can think whatever we want to think. We can invent whatever we want to invent. Lucky for us, we get our answers. Same chapter. What I accidentally read just now, Daniel 7:21 and 22, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Daniel 7:26 and 27, but the judgment shall sit. They shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end, and the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and shall obey him. Daniel's Son of Man is no extraterrestrial figure. We have to remember that this is a vision. None of it is real. We understand that none of it is real because in the second half of that chapter, we get our answers for what those beasts represent. And then we get our answers for what the Son of Man represents. That Son of Man represents a body of priests. The people of the saints shall possess the kingdom. This is a priesthood. That Son of Man is the embodiment of a priesthood, just as those beasts are the embodiment of religious, secular governments. We can't mess that up because that's here. So again, the application of the Son of Man in the Book of Enoch, drawing from Daniel, deviates from what Daniel is actually getting across, because that Son of Man figure, although in a figure of a male or man or human body, is actually representing an assembly. And this is not foreign. Exodus 19:6, you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. This is the entire plan of the Lord, all capital God, to cultivate priesthood, to cultivate denomination. This is what the Son of Man represents after all of those beasts have fallen away, and especially the one with that little horn coming up out of there. What is supposed to arrive next is a kingdom of priests. A kingdom of priests symbolized verses up higher in the form of what is called a Son of Man or a high priest. They're supposed to represent an assembly. That's all that Son of Man figure represents. When you go into the Book of Enoch, the author writing that takes the imagery from the book of Daniel and expounds upon it in a way that diverts from it. Ezekiel 3:17-22, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest them not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Verse 20, again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because thou hast not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he hath done shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require it at thine hand. Nevertheless, if thou warn the righteous man that the righteous sin not, and he doth not sin, he shall surely live, because he is warned. Also thou hast delivered thy soul. Enoch's Son of Man, the Lord, all capital God, they inspire this kind of chosen mind. This individual that we just read in the book of Ezekiel, this is the fulfillment of the individual within Isaiah 53. The arm of the Lord motivates them to move and to speak, and in a particular way and in a particular context for a particular time of year. Year doesn't mean literal year. Year means period. For a particular period, for a particular purpose, for a particular instance, for a particular moment. The moment of what is called the quote-unquote day of the all capital Lord. This is Genesis to Malachi. Going to the book of Enoch, that changes. It's no longer about the day of the Lord. When you go into the book of Enoch, now it's a continual season of a particular mind that is given to warn all. The Bible segregates individuals that it's looking for. It holds the priesthood as its main audience, whether they are good or not, whether they will die or live. It is the brethren, it is the priesthood. Genesis to Malachi. You leave this time period and you go into the time period of Hellenism. Now, Hellenistic Judaism has arrived, and now it's not just about the priesthood, it's about everyone. Because the concept of sin now, it's no longer specific, it's now everyone, because this is a Greek way of seeing what is wrong and faulty with the human being or the human frailty. Daniel's Son of Man is an entity on their own, and we get our answer for what that entity is. They are a priesthood. We get our answer. I don't have to make that up, I just read it. It's right there. The author writing the book of Enoch takes that and ignores what that meaning is within the chapter that they give to that Son of Man, and they take the Son of Man character and they exaggerate it. Then along comes the author of the Book of John. They take the character that the author writing the Book of Enoch has exaggerated from what is going on in the Book of Daniel, and they further exaggerate it. And they exaggerate it to the point where that has come and entered into a rabbi, and now this rabbi is walking around attached to and having within themselves an aspect, a seed, an offspring, an essence connected to the Son of Man who is full of grace. This is the mindset that the author writing the Book of John works with, informing their character, their main character. And so all of this plays a role in the age, because we have to remember the age that we're in. When we go into the Matthews of the world and the Lukes and the Marks and the Johns of the world, we are in an age that is transitioning from loyalty to quote unquote Torah. We're changing, we're shifting, we are engaging with a period of time that is no longer wanting to engage with Torah, because Torah doesn't give you the answers that Hellenism does. Torah can't tell you anything except to follow commandments, and that's your righteousness. Torah can't help you do anything with yourself. Greek is self-based. Greek is self-based. You can't do anything with yourself when it comes to Torah. All you have to do is do, and you'll be well. Well, that doesn't make sense from a Greek mindset. That doesn't make sense to us because that's not our culture. Our culture is individualistic. So we have adopted the individualistic framework, psychologically, of the Greeks. And it's, again, held to our educational institution, to our workplaces, to everything that we have going on in our life. It is Greek-centered, especially religion. And when you have the Book of Enoch, because the Book of Enoch is Hellenistic Judaism to the max, where it is answering the questions that Torah doesn't. The change and the shift from adherence to laws to now adherence to apocalypse gives you the questions and the answers that you're looking for. Because now you're understanding who is the sinner and who's not. Despite everyone being commanded to do these things, now you can understand who will be saved by doing them and who will not be. And you will get this in a more explicit way. We have to remember the age that we're in. So when we're seeing that or hearing that the Christian theory comes from a Judeo background, and now the theology is Judeo-Christian, we have to remember that the things that are going on in the Christian theory have nothing to do from Genesis to Malachi. They don't match up. They never will. That Judeo aspect is a Judeo-Hellenistic aspect. Hellenistic Judaism and Christian perspective give birth to what is called the Christian theory. That Judeo is nothing to do with the Hebrew from Genesis to Malachi. So when we're seeing the author of the Book of John, and that's why this is important, when we're seeing the author of the Book of John articulating their character as relating to Isaiah 6, that main character that character saw in vision, and then Isaiah 53, and without any Genesis to Malachi proof for doing so, nothing there confesses their logic. Nothing. Nothing there can, nothing will. Nothing. There's nothing there. Unless you go outside of the philosophical framework, and then you're able to build up to where their mind now is. From Genesis to Malachi, and then Malachi to the Revelation, that gap in between Malachi and Matthew is the gap of Hellenistic Judaism. That's why there's no Hellenistic Judaism that is to be canonized, because it deviates. And not only does it deviate from Genesis to Malachi, it's absorbed into Matthew to the Revelation. So it's not needed to be there anymore. It's already absorbed into Matthew to the Revelation. If we had to have that there, we would see the difference. And we would see where things are building off of from for the Christian theory, and where things are deviating off of from Genesis to Malachi, the philosophy of the then Hebrew thought. So when we're seeing the author of the Book of John working, we're seeing a lot of machination that has nothing to do with Genesis to Malachi, but has everything to do with Hellenistic thought and the time period that they're trying to stay consistent with for their audience, which is heavily Hellenistic 1, 2, pagan, 3, Hellenistic Judaistic. This is the audience they're working for. So when we're able to see, and this is very fun to do, they're floundering because there is no thought process or thought pattern that equates to anything their main character stands for, whether the main character is in Mark, Luke, Acts, John, whatever, Paul, whatever. Nothing equates from a philosophical standpoint and from a cultural, philosophical, and linguistic, contextual standpoint from Genesis to Malachi. Nothing until you add in Hellenistic Judaism. And then you can see where things are going. And then you can see where the deviation is committed even further. Not simply from Genesis to Malachi, but from Hellenistic Judaism itself. It's very fascinating. And we have to be able to know these things again for the purpose of our own experience, to wake up to what is going on here. Because if we are expecting Genesis to Malachi to shine through, we're not going to get that unless we're going to do so by force. And doing so by force, we are simply evading the necessary work of understanding the philosophy, cultural, the experience, cultural, and the balance, cultural, that the authors writing Genesis to Malachi would have the intended mind investigating their literature.